Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe. Now made by Disney or Lucasfilm, whichever way you slice it, Legends. Today, I have for you two things: a short story that's about the length of a young adult novel, and the next Clone Wars novel for you today, with the story being Skywalkers, but not the name Skywalker, and the novel Jedi Trial. So, starting with Skywalkers by Abel G. Pena. Here's the most important thing to know. This is one of the newer pieces of EU. This came out in 2015. Yes, after the Disney buyout, this story came out. This man, Abel G. Pena, big fan of the EU, had been writing this story for quite a few years before the Disney buyout, and they allowed him to release it online after he was finished with it. He was also a big fan of the 70s to 80s Marvel comics, which were S canon until it got bumped up to C canon later. But Star Wars Annual #1, The Long Hunt. This is where, in that old Marvel comics, they go to this planet that has a bunch of these like gargoyle-looking people with like wings on their back, but they're not like, stone, they're flesh and blood. But they got like the little wings on the back of them and stuff. They fly around, and they're Skywalkers because they fly. But this whole story was written to fix a bit of a contradiction within the EU, or at least something that you see these comics. When this comic came out, I think it was before Episode 5 came out. So there was a story that was told about Obi-Wan during the Clone Wars, where he had 2 apprentices. Because at the time, I believe, I haven't actually read it. This is just, as far as I understand it, nobody knew that Darth Vader was also going to be Anakin Skywalker, so we had 2 characters that accompanied Obi-Wan on a mission, or something like that. This explains that Obi-Wan took on another apprentice for a short time, a temporary apprentice. So he had Anakin as his main apprentice, and then he took on this guy for a bit. But overall, there are EU references left and right. You want comic references, you got it. You want young adult novel references, you got it. You got Galaxy of Fear references in here. You have 2008 Clone Wars with Satine mentioned here. You have the Jedi Apprentice and Jedi Quest Young Adults series mentioned here. You have so many mentions, blink and you'll miss it. This is a love letter to the expanded universe and is absolutely fantastic. There's probably references that I miss, but this is chock full of references to other EU stuff, while also itself being a really good story. Like, it's actually pretty good. And it's 200 pages. Like, that's a young adult novel that this guy worked on simply because he loved the EU. And I highly recommend it. I don't think this one's too hard to find. Skywalkers, it's Sky, put an E in the middle, and then Walkers, by Abel G. Pena. But yeah, it's absolutely fantastic, and I highly recommend that one. And then we have Jedi Trial by Dan Craig and David Sherman. What can I say? This is a decent book. This is by no means fantastic. This is not the epitome of Star Wars Expanding Universe content. There's a good portion that focuses on other characters in this book, which was a bit disappointing because you have Anakin on the cover. You think it's going to be focused on Anakin. He's a big focus, but he's not the prime focus. And the other characters in it are fine, but they don't compare, of course, to Anakin. Also, if you notice on this cover, Anakin is starting to look a hell of a lot more like he looks like in Episode 3 and the 2008 TV show, The Clone Wars, except the scar is not there yet. He just has the Hayden Christensen face with the long hair, but there's no scar yet. That's because we haven't gotten to that story yet, but we will. But I will say my absolute favorite part of this book is the military aspect. Now, I haven't looked too much into, I've kind of scrolled over what these other guys have written. It seems like, and I don't know if this really counts as a genre, but they seem to have written military books. Because there's a lot of military jargon within this book. I also thought it was utterly fantastic to just get. I mean, first off, the planet that they're on is a reference to the Thrawn trilogy because that planet is mentioned there. But this book really shows something that's really important for Anakin and Vader, but it has nothing to do with the Force. It has nothing to do really with the dark side or anything, right? Because that's a big part of Anakin is his anger and stuff. But that's not really a huge portion of this book. This is Anakin slash Vader's, because it will be a thing with Vader too, tactical and strategic genius, being a good leader and stuff that we don't get to see too much from Anakin in anything really. I mean, there's a couple times I can call in the 2008 show where he's in control of a ship, which I always like this type of things, like in the Wrath of Khan, if we're going to Star Trek, where literally the two opponents never actually meet face to face and they are attacking each other on their ships and talking to each other over comms. But I love that kind of naval warfare, I guess. I think it's cool. And Star Wars doesn't really focus on that. It's usually hand to hand and stuff. So I thought it was very interesting. Like I said, overall, this story is okay. I thought the villain also, this Mun, that they got was actually really cool. I mean, he's no Thrawn or anything because Thrawn is written to be one of the smartest people to ever exist. But he is a very tactical guy, and he was quite a challenge for the heroes in this book, and I really enjoyed that. And while it didn't focus on Anakin as much as I would have liked, I still thought that overall this was a very decent read. This is by no means a fantastic book, I don't think. I mean, to be honest, I can't say what other people think about this book. They'll either just think it's really boring, or they'll probably think it's okay, like me. I don't think there's gonna be anyone though that really loves this book. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's somebody out there, and if there is, I would love to know why. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I don't know what else to talk about without getting into spoilers. But I really enjoyed it, and I think it's worth your time. But that's pretty much it, guys. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Sharing helps a ton. Up next, we have some Republic comics, and some other things. And then Yoda Dark Rendezvous. And then we enter the... I'm so sorry if you heard that. But then we get into the whole section of Filoni, Clone Wars, and its associated tie-in material. So, oh my gosh, it happened again. I'm so freaking sorry. It's so loud. This is why I need a professional camera, so it's not on my freaking video. But I'm using my phone. So. But anyway, yeah, I hope you all have a fantastic day. If you don't want spoilers, time for you to go. If you don't care about spoilers, or you're a veteran, come on. Last warning, about to spoil. So with Abel G. Pena's Skywalkers, it says in here that Obi-Wan's starting to wear the TCW look. It looks like what he looks like in the TCW show. I know there's going to be a couple more comics where he doesn't look like that. But, it's an on and off thing where he starts to wear that until we get to Season 1 and Season 2 of the Clone Wars, where he's wearing that outfit pretty consistently. There's a lot of references in here, too. We get stuff from the Old Republic as well. A whole bunch of stuff. They connected Outbound Flight with Halligid, who's the new short-term Padawan that Obi-Wan has taken on. Also, Rogue Planet is mentioned in this book, which was just a nice little Easter egg. And the dragon within Anakin, which is a huge Episode 3 novelization thing. That's also mentioned here, which is really cool. We also, at least chronologically, of course this was written very late, but chronologically, if you're doing it in my timeline at least, this will be the first time we ever hear about Rex, the clone trooper, who's heavily a part of the TV show. Also the ending in this book, man. That whole final fight between Anakin and that guy was awesome. And considering they both have their secrets, this guy's married and has a kid. And then Anakin's married. So they have similar things going on there. and they have this big confrontation by the end of this story, which I really, really enjoyed. I thought it was very intense, very well done. As for Jedi Trial, I only have really one thing or two things to say. They mentioned Paige Tarkin, which I don't know if that's like a niece or a daughter to Tarkin, but that's the thing. We also have Groto. Groto is this person they introduce in this book, and they relatively manage to make me care about him. And then he dies. Now, overall, is he very important to the story? No. And were him and Anakin best friends? No, because they didn't know each other super long, but they were getting along. And that's the thing about the EU. The only things that truly matter, the biggest catalysts in Anakin's life, would be his mother's death and his fear for his wife's death. And that's all you need for the movies. But that's the beauty of the EU, the expanded universe. You see through the Battle of Jabim, through the different novels, through the different comics, Anakin's fear of losing people. He keeps, like, it doesn't matter how close he is to these people, just as long as he cares about them to some extent, he keeps losing person after person after person. Now that's easy when it's, you know, people that you're only like on good terms with, but aren't like super close to. But like, he loses his mother, that's a huge thing. Then he loses Yaddle. Or then he loses Qui-Gon, who is a father figure to him. Sorry, no, he loses Qui-Gon first, father figure, loses his mother. Loses Yaddle. Or uses Yaddle, then his mother. Yeah. Then the Jabim. Then all the other comics where he loses companions. This story, where he's cool with this guy dies. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And then you get to episode 3, he has the same dreams that he had about his mother, and Padme is the only person he cares about, you know, almost just about as much, if not more than his mother. And so yeah, with just the movies, that's enough. But with the added context, he's lost so much. He's lost so many. He can't afford to lose his wife. That's the last straw. That's the final knife that will ultimately lead to his fall. And I love that. And it was actually pretty sad. Other than that, not much I have to say. The other characters were fine. Nothing of note I can really say about them in this book. It was fine. But, as I said, I really enjoyed the military aspect. And finally, of course, at the very end of this novel, Anakin is going to be knighted. So from here on out, Anakin is a Jedi Knight. Not a Padawan, but a Knight. But yeah, overall, guys, pretty okay. The Skywalkers, I say, is even better than the actual novel that I reviewed today. Skywalkers is a must. Jedi Trial, do you have to read it? No. But I do think there's enough good in it to merit it. I think this was more engaging than, like, Cestus Deception, in my opinion. So, but that's pretty much it, guys. Until next time, may the Force be with you.